LawrenceHits.com. It's Jaywalks, and we are here in the green room at Theater Lawrence with the cast and crew of Camelot, which opens on June 8th. And it's an exciting time because we only have a couple of weeks left before the curtain goes up. Our old friend Christoph Cordling is with us at the helm of another show, my friend.
God help us all.
God help us all. Tell us a little bit about the character that you play and some of the challenges that you faced in becoming who you are.
I played King Arthur. I suppose the biggest challenges I've had with this particular role is
getting the sword out of the stone?
Not so much. That only took 3 tries. I was younger then. But one of the big problems with the show in general is that it takes place over a matter of years. And the first Act 1, Scene 1 is 5 years prior to everything else that happens. So, playing somebody who's a bit younger at that point, but not terribly that much older later on, has its own challenges. On top of that, Arthur is an iconic character. Everybody knows what he's supposed to be like, at least in terms of what he's done behavior-wise. But he's also a completely fictional figure, so I'm allowed to do quite a bit with him, which I enjoy. But being able to add
how much evolution to your physicality goes on during the course of the show, since we're taking on many years?
Early on, I play him a bit more juvenile, boyish, effeminate. He jumps around a lot more mobile. He never really loses that during the rest of the show, but he's a lot more skittish to begin with, which I enjoy doing because it means I can dance all over Jay's wonderful stage. And we find out just how load-bearing all these things are.
Fantastic.
All right. I've seen him bouncing up and down on the stage. He will not put us on something he would drop for him. So
it's true.
You jump up and down on every single set piece before it goes out there.
And to your right, who are we with today? King Pellinor! King Pellinor, and you are, sir?
I'm Jim Toucher.
How many productions have you done at Theater Lawrence?
This is my 3rd production at Theater Lawrence.
Okay. And tell us a little about what we can expect from King Pellinor.
He is a cartoon of a man who has been out chasing a mythical beast for 18 years. His hinges need oiling, and he's longing for pillows and sheets. And Guinevere graciously offers them to him, and he ends up spending the rest of the show and playing a bit of a foil to King Arthur. So it's great fun.
And how did you guys enjoy working together? Had you ever been on stage at the same time?
We were in
the
Music Man last summer, but we didn't really play off each other. I was in
or interact or speak with or make direct eye
contact. Yeah. No time for that silliness.
Right.
So yeah, I was in the barbershop quartet. So he gave us our notes, and we went off singing. And he went off on his merry way.
And the handsome Alan Martin plays Lancelot. Yeah, you always get cast as the cute boy in the show. Tell me a little bit about playing Lancelot.
Playing Lancelot is interesting because he's the Mary Poppins of knights. He's practically perfect in every way, except not many people like him, people like Mary Poppins. He kind of rubs the other knights up the wrong way, and so it's there's a strange balance between his somewhat arrogant personality that he has because he knows he's great, but he's also in a lot of ways very humble because he feels like his greatness is bestowed upon him from above and it's not his own personal greatness. But he has a great deal of love for Arthur and everything that he's standing for with the Round Table and trying to bring a more civilized world to Camelot. But at the same time, he has to fight against his own personal urges when he meets Guinevere. So there's a lot of complexity there. It seems very surface level at first, but it really progresses.
And Guinevere, introduce yourself. Your real name is?
Brenna Castor. This is my first show with Theater Lawrence.
And had you done theater before elsewhere?
Yeah, I grew up doing it, and I went to Emporia State University and got my degree there in theater. So, yeah.
How did you end up at Lawrence?
Well, I actually met Christoph and a couple of our other cast members, Tony Console and Kyle Titchener, and Dan Hines, who isn't in the show, and they kind of encouraged me to audition for this. So, yeah, I'm glad I did.
What is the role of Guinevere to you? How do you play her?
She's not me, so like it's kind of a big challenge because she's grown up her whole life in the kingdom, like her own kingdom, and kind of groomed to be a queen. And I grew up in Western Kansas on a farm, so it's really kind of putting my acting skills to the test. But she's playful. She's a dreamer. What I find very interesting about her when she's really young and she's got all these like fantasies and oh, this would be fun and this would be exciting, and then as they kind of do unfold and play out through the show, they all just bring her great distress as she grows up.
And how do you make a choice between such fine gentlemen?
I know, I have such a tough role. Got two handsome men fighting over me. Dang. She's real torn because she loves Arthur and he's like her sole companion. But then like there's this excitement that like Lancelot brings in that I don't think she'd ever felt before, or like she knew she was missing something, but what was it? And then here he comes in, and so now she like is like torn. Yeah.
So James Deemer's the technical director and has created some amazing sets and lighting in his tenure here at Theater Lawrence.
You're the real wizard.
He does something else. It pulls rabbits out of the hat from time to time. What were some of the physical challenges to stage such a big musical like Camelot?
Most of these musicals, the biggest issue is locations. Like, this show wants a dozen different fully realized locations, and that's not doable. Like, money-wise, time-wise, space-wise, my wings aren't large enough to store all that scenery. So how do we create a space that can be magical forest, that can be the study, that can be the armory, all these different locations?
Is it less is more and more bringing the imagination to bear?
In some ways, and in other ways it's more is more. Like, if we can get this single giant thing that represents this, that feels like this. So it feels like we haven't been building as much scenery as we normally do, but somehow we have like 5 times more than it feels like we should. And the set itself, you know, I mean, Camelot is sort of, it's an epic thing, it's an epic idea, it's this vastness to it, and how do you put that on stage? Well, I have a 20-foot high proscenium arch, so I may as well make a piece of scenery that's 20 feet high that feels like the closest thing we can get to that cathedral feeling, right? And so we're kind of pushing all the limits of the space.
How do you compare the space constraints to, say, what you did for Beauty and the Beast, which you did have to have multiple locations?
Yeah, that was another one of those struggles, and we kind of did that one. We tried to outsmart that one by having these sort of rotating units and doubling things up. And we're kind of doing a similar thing here, where we have this sort of central unit that we accessorize and redress in different ways to make these new locations, and hopefully we create the feeling of each of the locations more so than the sort of precise geography of it, I guess is what we're going for. Like in the throne room scene, you know, what makes it feel like the throne room? Well, clearly the thrones are the thing, so we're spending a lot of time building absolutely fantastic thrones for what is a 3-minute scene.
Still counts.
But it's a throne room. It needs to feel like that. It needs to, and just by putting these awesome thrones and this sort of single piece that will frame the thrones nicely, hopefully it'll feel like that. It'll have that grandeur that a throne room needs. And the other challenge of the design is just time period, because you know, you look at the history and the sort of century that they've kind of pinpointed that these inspiring events probably happened. And then you look at sort of the century much later when a lot of the artwork happened, and that's kind of what people expect to see. And we're kind of playing fast and loose with about 500 years, which
Give or take 4 centuries.
yeah, like which really works pretty well because you can give people sort of that fantasy medieval that they expect, but you can also sort of gritty it up a little bit with some earlier era things and kind of blend and mix it all together into what will hopefully feel like something new and unique.
In the course of the last few years, some technological advancements have allowed you to do some more intricate design work in a shorter amount of time. How does the use of these new technologies impact a show like Camelot?
Every time we do a big pumpkin show, usually Mary lets me buy something cool that we can utilize in future shows. For example, Lumiere's hands in Beauty and the Beast were a very complex, very expensive rig that is actually going to let me build the torches for the end of this show. Wirelessly controlled dimmers, really fancy LEDs, that sort of thing.
Right.
Stuff like that. The fog machines that we've been slowly acquiring, we'll definitely be seeing all of those. And we can sort of start to mix those things. I've recently acquired a 3D printer that's allowed us to print a lot of props that would have taken a long time to build or a lot of money to buy.
So you can be more efficient, more cost effective, and focus a little bit more time and attention on some of the details.
Exactly, because that's the super tiny details are what really fall to the wayside in musicals because we have 30 locations we have to build versus something like a single tiny set where we can just dink around and tinker with little things and spend hours determining wallpaper patterns.
And lighting helps you change locations as well.
Yes, and we have a fantastic lighting inventory, and that's actually what I'll be doing the rest of tonight is figuring out what I'm doing with the lights this week.
All right, so that we can get you guys back to rehearsal tonight. Last question of the evening. Camelot is one of those musicals that is iconic, and everybody knows it because if they hadn't studied it in school, they were introduced to it by their parents' generation, maybe their grandparents' generation, they've seen the movie version, they may have seen the Broadway version. Is it daunting to take on a behemoth like Camelot, or does it make you kind of rise to the challenge and put your own spin on it? And I'll just start with you and we'll head around the room.
I did Camelot the first time when I was 19, and that was a long time ago, and this is my 4th production of it.
All in the same role or different roles?
Different roles.
Okay.
Different roles. And I just love it. It's as human a show, as it can get, as far as the love triangle and all of that, and all of the other challenges of becoming more civilized and all of that stuff. And the music is not great, but it's good enough. In my
A couple of memorable songs.
There's a couple of memorable songs, yeah. It is daunting, but that makes it all better. Like you've actually done something. Yeah.
What about you, Christoph?
I love doing big major shows that everybody's seeing because I like getting the chance to do something in a different way. We did Guys and Dolls, we did Music Man, so I got leads in both of those, and I did not want to do anything I'd seen somebody else do before. This one gives us a chance, and I think we've done it, of adding sort of a contemporary spin to a degree in at least the delivery itself. The other thing I really like about iconic musicals, especially the ones that are made onto screen, not only Brad here has a fantastic singing voice. That dude over there is a doctorate in vocals. He's insanely great. I am more on the lines of Marlon Brando as Sky Masterson, as Robert Preston as the music man, as Richard Burton as King Arthur. All fine actors, not known for their singing voices.
There you go. What about you, bro?
Well, speaking of singing voice, the scary thing for me is that like Julie Andrews iconically played my role. So I also like I don't want to copy her sound. I don't want to copy her acting. You know, and I know that people who love her. I have a friend who's obsessed with her. Who love her and love the musical are kind of going to be expecting that a little bit too. So like I want to respect her performance, but I don't want to be Julie Andrews.
Yeah, you're going to be you.
Yeah, I have
Exactly.
to put on my own kind of spin.
And last but not least, none so long.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with the Broadway cast recording and parts of the movie, but I try my best not to rely on like listening to other people's renditions of things or performances of things to try and like make it my own interpretation at the beginning and then build it from there with the direction from Mary Dufton. And speaking of iconic songs, like If Ever I Would Leave You that I have to sing is like so iconic and like everybody like just listens to it and they melt and they remember the people that they've heard sing it before. I'm trying to just sing it the way I like to sing, and it's great collaborating with Mary Baker, our fabulous music director, because I mean her ideas for how it should be interpreted are just really wonderful. And so it's nice to build it from what we have here rather than trying to like emulate something. And I think we've got a great team of people that really get the most out of everything to do with that.
Terrific. Camelot opens June 8th at Theatre Lawrence. For tickets, theatrelawrence.com or call the box office 785-843-7469 and make sure that you attend one of these performances. We have a nice long run through June 24th, so plenty of time to see the show. Thank you guys for taking time out of rehearsal to be with us, and as they say, regulate.
Thank you.
This is Theatre Lawrence on lawrencehits.com.